Good morning. How are you all doing? Welcome to Kathy's Corner. My name is Kathy Ratliff, and this is a channel about cross stitch, but also I have some other playlists on my channel that have to do with quilting and gardening and just funny stuff around my house and places I go. So welcome if you've happened upon here by accident. I appreciate you staying around for a little while. Please like and subscribe if you can. Some people aren't able to because you have to have like a YouTube channel to like and subscribe, I think. And that's fine. So hang on, because today is Tuesday, January 17th, I think. Let's double check. I can't believe it's already the middle of January. Yeah, it's the 17th. And I have a lot to show you. My last video was too long. I watched it and it was too long. And I also named it Flosstube 11 and it was really Flosstube 12. So I went back and changed it where I could. So this would be Flosstube 13 according to the math. And I'm a math teacher, so there you go. So first things first. It's in the morning. So you know what that means, right? I'm going to keep these right here, my glasses right here. Cup of coffee. Cheers. Happy New Year. Here's to 2023 and bigger and better things and achieving your dreams. Lots of people have words of the year. My word of the year is retire because I will be retiring in May. Yay from teaching. I didn't teach a super long time. I taught 25 years. But homeschooled my kids prior to that, so I count that as teaching. Retirement doesn't count that as teaching, but anyway. So first things first. I gave away something last week that was brand new and in the package that I found at a thrift store. It was an Ink Circles piece, and Brandy Fitzpatrick won that. And I'll be mailing that off today. Brandy, thank you for watching. Hope you're watching again. And I was supposed to mail this Friday, didn't, so now it's Tuesday. And look, it's in the package. Oh, you can't see your address. It's in the package and will be on its way to you this afternoon. Sorry for the delay. Okay, so here's what we're going to talk about. I have my January plans, and I'm going to go by this. And what I'm doing, I've talked about this before. You can look at my previous floss tube. What? It's the morning. It's 7 in the morning. And it's Florida. And I have the heater on right behind me. It's in the 40s right now. And it's going to be in the 70s this afternoon. Welcome to Florida. And it probably half the other states in America. I think this happens in a lot of places except way up north. So I did the 12 by 12. Which was, I'm taking my sweater off. If you didn't know about the 12 by 12, it was on New Year's Eve. You had either 12 new starts or 12 new whips, and you worked on one every hour. So I managed to get 6 in, and I stopped at 8 o'clock because we went out with my daughter and her husband and had a great time. So I did it from, I think, when did it start? I don't know, but I did 6 new starts and worked the next day on 3 whips. So that's what I did for my New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And we'll talk about that. I thought I was going to talk about that right now, but I just reminded myself I wanted to show you some previous Valentine's stitches. And I don't remember, these are things that I did last year and the year before. So this is one. It looks like a tiny modernist. There you go. Love you. Isn't that cute? Made a pillow out of it. And it already, I keep it on a table that's near some candles. And I'm notorious for lighting. I love candles. I love ambiance, okay? Except for behind me. There's no ambiance there. But there is an order to behind me. If you take a good close look, there is a slight order to things. So it has a little bit of wax on it right there, but that's Love You. And like I said, that was a couple of years ago or last year, so I don't remember the person, and it was before I kept really close records. All this one I did, gosh, this was one of the, like, I think the third cross stitch I did. And there it is. The frame is probably from the dollar store, and it probably had some writing back behind here. These are some check that I bought at Joann's. This is some fabric I had in, you know, those long jelly rolls. Some jelly roll fabric. And this is an even weave, probably 28 count that I dyed myself. So there they are, little birds. I love it. It was really hard for me because I'd never done anything. I had done one other thing that was sort of sampler-ish, and I feel like that has a sampler vibe to it. And it was really hard for me. It took me a long time. But, you know, with every cross-stitch piece you do, you learn. And I did this week. It only took just a couple of days. This is Primrose Cottage Stitches, Lovebirds by Katie Rogers. I did it on Aida. Probably 14 count. And I did 2/1 using silks. And I'll tell you what the name of it is in a minute, because they're in a box with some, I mean, they're in a bag with some other stuff. So here she is. This was one, like maybe the second time I've ever used silks. And I don't think I'll ever use silks on this, on Aida again, only because Aida is scratchy, if you know what I mean. It's kind of hard and feeling, hard to the touch. And silk likes smooth. So silk would like even weave, or silk would like linen better than this. Because I found that if I used really, really long pieces of thread, it would fray before the end. Because silk is just magnificent. It's like stitching with butter, okay? So there they are. And I had to do this inside heart twice. Because what I didn't know with silks is that these particular silks, I think they're Vert de Soie, but I'm not sure. I'll tell you in a minute. If you put something inside something that's darker, like this is dark red, it kept the fluffy and just tiny parts of the thread kept bleeding over into this pink heart every time I did it. So I took it out twice. Then just finally did it the very last time, very carefully, so that it didn't bleed through. It's not exactly like the chart. I added another 0 because I started somewhere wrong. So because I added an extra piece, a letter right there, that meant it was off balance. And so there was more like on one side of the piece than the other. So I added some hearts here and added some hearts here to make it even out. So there it is. It's cute. I love it. It took, I don't know, 2 or 3 days with stitching with other stuff. So those are my previous finishes and my giveaway. And I have to tell you about my giveaway. And if you listen to my videos, I go to thrift stores a lot. And sometimes I find brand new things packaged in thrift stores. And at this thrift store, I found a lot of things. Like somebody probably just either quit stitching or something. And so I don't mind giving those away. And if you don't want something that was thrifted, then you don't have to enter. So that's okay. If you don't want it, you don't have to enter. I won't have any giveaways this time unless I think of something, because I didn't stack them up next to me. So here's my trusty dusty Flosstube notes. Now, by the way, thank you for stopping by. I think I already thanked you, but I'm going to thank you a bunch. I'm going to try and do these once every 2 weeks. Over Christmas, I didn't, because Christmas, I decorate my house. I make things for everybody that not necessarily cross-stitch. And so I spend a lot of December sewing and crafting and such. And so that's what I did during December. I did do, I think, one Flosstube during December. And then between December and January, like starting 3 days ago, we have a long weekend because of Martin Luther King. And so that's when I take down all my Christmas. Usually when I take down my Christmas, I sort of rearrange my house. I change the pictures on the walls. I move furniture around. I just make my space a little bit different every year. I don't like things staying the same. Like I told my husband, I said, I'm going to paint the whole house white so that I can use color on the wall and so it doesn't clash with things. And he's like, you're crazy. And I'm like, I know, but I like to paint. And he'll help me if I want him to, but I'd rather do it myself. So first is Barry, the 12 Days of Christmas. This is one of my 12 by 12 starts. And I've done pretty good on that. I try and stitch on this a little bit every day. And because it's Christmas, I put it in this Christmas bag. This Christmas bag that I made. And I have all the berries in here. So I'm just going to keep them in here all year. And my goal is to stitch a berry a month. And this is the first day of Christmas. You know, on the first day of Christmas, Matilda, go give me partridge in a pear tree. So here's my partridge in a pear tree. This is the first time I stitched on 35 count. Like I said in my last floss tube, the first mistake I made was cutting it out first. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing usually because I don't have any cross-stitch friends. But I have you. And I cut it out. That's a mistake. Don't cut them out first. Cut them out after you stitch them so that you don't have this much room to make a berry. I'll make it work. I've made a mistake on this 2 times. This is 1/2 on 35 count. And 2 places in here I did 2/2 because I'm so used to having 2 threads. I'm not used to 1 thread, which is wonderful. And so this pair right here and this whole little section are both done 2/2. So they're a little puffy, but no one will know. It doesn't matter. So this is Erica Michaels. 35 count Cocoa. Didn't write what company, but it's Cocoa. The next one is Matilda Goes to School. She is my school stitch. I stitch in the mornings when I get to school if I don't have anything to do. And then I also stitch on the week. I bring her home on the weekends sometimes. I'm a teacher, so clearly this is for me. And what I decided to do was, I just used the colors I had, which are mostly the call for. But I decided to rechart what's on the chalkboard, because on the chalkboard is ABC 1, 2, 3. And I'm a math teacher. So I put on the top of this chart, I think I'm going to put math. I'm going to put math here, and then I put, you can't see it, or maybe you can. You can in person. It says pi r squared, which is the formula for the area of a circle. So I have that there. I taught geometry for a long time in high school. And then I think I'm going to put either math or Miss Rat, because my last name is Ratliff, and my students have always called me Miss Rat. So there she is, and has her little students right there. And I put CC, that's what my grandkids call me. And it also stands for Kathy's Corner. So there you go. I made a few changes. But now the chalkboard is just fill in, and then there's a clock over on this side. There's a clock over on this side with a little mouse. So then I'll be done. So I figure at the end of this week I'll be finished with that. And I'm going to frame her because she's cute and she'll remind me of my teaching days. I'm yawning in a video. And I'm also freezing. Next whip. Start. That was a start on New Year's Eve. The berry was a start on New Year's Eve. The O in February for the wreath swap. Home is where the wreath is with Stitching with the Housewives. That was a fail. First piece I've ever thrown in the trash. The chart's great and everything, but I decided to do that with the silks I was talking about. In fact, I think I have the silks in here. I do. So the O that I started making was the O for February, and it has a lot of roses in it. And I just have the chart in here, but it goes in a circle and has roses. And here's those silks I was talking about that I'm not going to use anymore on Aida because I'm stitching that on 28 count Aida black. And these are Cottage, I think that's how you say it, silks. And they're wonderful. They come in little skeins, but I took them and put them in these little bags and put what they were on there. I will not use them again on Aida. And the reason I had to throw that one away was, number one, there's a lot of mixing white or ecru and red and ecru and all these bright colors. I picked up these colors. I didn't use what Priscilla and Chelsea said to use, which next time I shall. Well, I'll use the DMC conversion. But when you mix silks together on Aida, it just doesn't work right because the roughness of the fabric picks up little tiny parts of those silk fabrics onto the top, and you have a mixture of colors that you don't want. So although I love stitching with this silk, I will use it for other things, not for Aida. So I will have to start that all over. That's okay. Oh, and the reason I threw it away was, number one, I've made 3 roses, and I don't want to pick those out. And number 2, I measured it again, and I didn't even cut it big enough. The thing was going to go, the stitching was going to go like almost to the very edge. So I'm like, what was I thinking? You know, sometimes you just don't think. So I went and cut another piece. It's huge. Like, it's going to have 3 inches all around so that I won't make that mistake again. And then I think I showed this on my last video, but I made this bag for sort of semi-smaller things. This is fabric from a long time ago. And I used Celeste. What is Celeste's channel? Celeste, is it Creative? I'll look it up. I'm so sorry, Celeste. I have it in my notes. Wait, let me go to my notes. I know I have it in here. What is Celeste's name? Oh, golly. Kim Goldman. Okay, I'm going to look it up and I'll put it in right here. But Celeste has a video of doing a top zippered, what are these bags called? Project bags. Duh. So I used hers and I made 2 that day. So these were just some cuts that I had from making a baby quilt a long time ago. So there's that. Now I'm still into my New Year's Eve 0. Okay, then Fresh from the Garden. That was just a start. So now I know the difference between whips and starts. Yes, I do. So Fresh from the Garden. This is the New Year's Day bag that is so heavy. Where's Fresh from the Garden? Here it is. This is a great project bag, don't you think? That's okay. I've seen Brenda and the Cereal Starter. They have plenty of these bags. It's fancy project bags. Fresh from the Garden was a chart I won from Colorado Stitcher. Little House Needleworks. And it has several things on it. And so I'm doing this chart right here. Actually, I'm going to do that one too. But I started Fresh from the Garden on New Year's Eve on a huge piece of even weave. I believe it's cocoa. That's all I have. That's called a start. So that's not very exciting at all. I haven't touched it since, but it will be in my rotation. And I did that on I know what you're doing. You're screaming at me saying, you wrote it in your notes, Kathy. You wrote it in your notes. Let's see if I wrote it in my notes. Fresh from the garden, little house, 28 count. Nothing written there. Sorry. And the next start was the fox, which is my second start with the fox. I changed fabric. When people used to when people used to talk about, you know, starting something several times, I thought, why would you do that? Why would you waste your time? Just keep going. I get it now. So this is my Year in the Woods series, and I'm doing the fox. This dude, a lot of people are doing it. Isn't he pretty? And I'm doing him on this beautiful fabric. This is the bottom part of the fox. So look at this pretty fabric. It's gray blue. And that's it. I just have a start on his feet. That's all. Nothing spectacular. And I put a card in here. The raccoon. And none of it said, weeks, WDW Graphite number 1154. I think that's the color that I'm doing it on. The fox. Yeah. Okay. I'll put it in the description box. I'm just, you know, I have the count on like half of them and half of them I don't. This is the day. I did not start this on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, but I did start it on on the 8th. And so I kind of count it as a New Year's start. And that is what I'm working on. That is the Plum Street with the pink brick house. I'm having lots of fun with that one. Again, wonderful, wonderful project bag. This is the day. 32 count. I'm doing it on 32 count, starts with a B. Starts with a B. Linen. 2/2. Did I put what I'm doing it on? No. Mostly called for colors. No, I'm using most of the DMC and then the called for classic color works that were like in the house and in parts of it that are bigger. Trying to save a little money there. And if you want to know which ones I'm doing what on, I'll show you. But I'm very proud of myself on this one because it has a goat in the top left. And it wasn't showing up with ecru was called for. So here's what I've done so far. I've done the whole top little boxes all the way across. I think there's 34 of them. And then there's the ram. There's the ram. And he shows up really well on this. But what I did was, I don't know if you could tell, see how the colors are variegated? I took ecru and I took some coffee. I had a coffee cup and I laid out my pieces that I'd cut and I dipped my fingers in the coffee cup and patted them down the strips of ecru. Let it dry. And boy, oh boy, let me see if it smells like coffee. It doesn't smell like coffee. But I'm very proud that I dyed that myself. I got that from Cynthia Brew on Stitching in the Light. She dyes things, all kinds of different things she dyes. So I got that idea from her. And that is on, starts with a B. 32 count linen, starts with a B. I hope you people like me enough to stick with me till the end and deal with this frazzled before school videoing. Keeper of the pins. I had a very small start on that. I won't even show you. It's like, I don't know, 10 stitches. Sweet Pea Rabbit. I will show you the, I'll show you the patterns because they're so cute. Keeper of the pins, everybody knows. I had some leftover 40 count, I think. I believe I had some leftover 40 count. I took all of my leftover sort of, you know, little tiny parts that I'd worked on other things. So here's Keeper of the Pins. I'm doing this one down here with the bird. And it's just a start. I used things that I had. Oh yeah, this is 40 count. And I don't even have enough stitches in to show you, but it's definitely a start. You can trust me on that. And what I did was in my little bag for Keeper of the Pins, I just kept scraps, that's the word I was looking for a minute ago, of different linens to do those different pieces with. I really don't care if it's 40 count or 32 count. I've only stitched on 40 count a few times, so I'm fixing to start a giant one on 40 count. I had a kind father. It's enormous. So we'll see. That'll take me years. Keep with the Pin. Sweet Pea Rabbit. That's what I wanted to look for. Sweet Pea Rabbit. Where's that Sweet Pea? Where's Sweet Pea? That's not Sweet Pea. Maybe it's in here. I got this from Fat Quarter Shop. I think it was part of a box. I used to subscribe to a monthly box from them. And that was from one of the monthly boxes. Kimberly Jolly on Fat Quarter Shop. This is Sweet Pea by Lottie Da. Stand Up Bunny. I think I'm making this for my granddaughter. Isn't it cute? And I don't have enough to show you. Like, you know, I don't know. One stitch, one thread length or something like that. How long do you cut your thread lengths? I see people's, you know, threads that are hanging so pretty and everything, and that's probably because they cut them all the same. Don't judge me, but I lay them out. I don't measure. I just lay them out and just cut them the same, but I don't measure how long it is. So I'll cut a whole group and lay them out and then put them on the floss things, and they're different lengths, and that doesn't bother me. But I see people have this stick. It's a wooden stick, and you wind it, and then you cut your threads, and they're all the same. I'd like one of those. I think what I'll do is get a ruler, because I'm a math teacher, have my husband cut out a groove and smooth it down, and then I can just use a ruler for that. Okay? So that was some things that I started on New Year's. And then I have a few whips. So here's my little whip. I don't know what's this. I was going to start this on New Year's. Summer by Madame Chantilly. Didn't get to it. And I'm changing all the colors in it, so I need to, like, you know, review what colors. Because this gray is not my aesthetic. I'm more of a white-ish kind of person. I don't mean that in a bad way. Don't go there, please. So my works in progress. This is the day is what I'm currently working on. The little Valentine thing I did. My O for Home is Where the Wreath Is. And, yeah. And that's it for right now. I have some whips I'm not touching for a while. I put one in timeout. I talked about it on my last video. This is another start on New Year's. It is the Berry Girl, Erica Michaels. It's the Sunshine Berry Silk Berry Collection. And I don't know if you could tell, but there's kind of a pinkish squares in the background that I'm not doing. Of course, I've changed the colors. And I had this, I ordered this before, you know, I was a linen girl. Before I don't know. You know, you have stages that you go through. Now I'm like really gravitating towards samplers and little smalls here along the way. But samplers is definitely my groove. Thanks to Kim Goldman. She used to be the Contented Stitcher, but now she's Kim Goldman _ I'll put it here, Kim. And golly, lots of people. Brenda and the Serial Starter. They're enablers, huh? Colorado Cross Stitcher. And of course, Saltbox Stitcher. They've all sort of influenced me in that direction. And I like it because they're legacies. They're things that will be on the wall till we die. Or after we die, hopefully. And passed down, and I'm into that. Because I make quilts too, and those are legacies. So I bought this fabric called Parchment Paper by RogueStitching.com. Printed fabric. So on the back, there's nothing. And I was doing this sunshine thing. I thought, oh my gosh, I had this fabric that I bought a long time ago when I didn't know what I was doing. Because I would normally not do this now. But look at this fabric. I mean, is that not perfect? For the sunshine thing? Here, let me get it up closer. But I'm so excited because it just matches the fabric perfectly. I'm not making a berry. It works out, berries work out like in a fan shape kind of, and that's just what it'll be on here. And then I'll frame it. It certainly won't go to the edge of this dark area, but I'll just cut that off and frame it. And I think I'll have enough left to do some little smalls with it later. So I just was really excited about how that turned out. The colors, they don't look good right now. But when I did a floss toss, that means laying your colors across the fabric. It looked really good. So I'm going to trust my floss toss and keep going with this. And then have a really cute sunflower. That song, You Are My Sunshine, is very special to me. My dad used to sing it with me in the truck when we'd go to places. And then I taught it to my kids. And then my son, of course, and the mother-son dance at a wedding, at his wedding. He had a bluegrass version of that, and they played. He surprised me, and they played it, and it was just, oh my god, oh my god. So You Are My Sunshine is going to be probably stitched on 20 things by the time I die. Do I have any other whips? I do have this bag. I showed it last time, but I'm going to show it again because I'm proud of it. This was a pillow that I quilted and I didn't like, so I took the pillow apart and I made a bag with it. It is substantial. It is heavy because these are window pane blocks and there's a lot of fabric in a window pane block. So that's it. And then I lined the inside with some batik that I had. This is I Had a Father Kind and True by Alice Clark, 1844. I now have all the threads. They're silks, 103 silks, 100-3 silks. But I am hesitant on the fabric. This is the, I'm assuming this is the antique. I don't want mine that dark. And Nicole, Needlework Stitcher, she is doing this too. And I can't remember what fabric, but it's light. And it may be the called for. Because this is the antique, and if I don't see a picture of the call for, I'm just scared about the color. I don't want it to be dark. So I may call up Colorado Stitcher and talk to her on the phone. I think she's in Fort Collins, Colorado. Talk to her on the phone and say, hey, you know, what do you think about this? And I want a lighter fabric. And so, and I have the silks. I've never used 100-3 silks before. So... Look, 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 look. I made this bag. It does not match the other bag. Ask me if I care. Okay, is that all? I think that might be all. Oh, I have glasses galore. Let's see. Talk about Fabulous Fun Friday finishes. Oh, yeah. If you... I don't do it every Friday, but every once in a while on Fridays, I put out a Fabulous Fun Friday finish video, which is just me finishing a piece. I have 2 on the back burner that I just haven't published yet. One is one where I'm just going to speed up and talk in the background. And I've tried to do it twice, and I can't figure it out. But my son and his wife, Levi and Krista, have just moved back to Florida. And right now that we have an apartment separate from our home here, and they're living here where they're looking for a home, I think they're going to live in West Palm area, or Vero Beach area. But I'm grateful to have them back, and Levi's the techie person, and he can help me figure that out. Carissa is too. They're young, you know, they're in their 30s. Haul, let's see. I don't see my haul, so never mind. It was just some fabric. Showed that. I did clean my sewing room, and I sort of rearranged this, and it may look junky to you, but it isn't to me. Over here are my rulers and scissors. This is my cutting table that my husband made and put on top of an old dresser. And there's my things from Fat Quarter Shop. Those are half triangle papers. And then all my seeing eye things that I used to stitch with are right up there. Pictures of my family, of course. And then over there, I think you can see over there, those are all my DMC flosses. They're by the hundreds, like there's the 200s, 300s, 400s, and so on. And then the thousands are on the bottom. Then I have specialty threads back behind this. What you can see them hanging underneath that lamp right there are my specialty threads. I don't have enough to hang on just two threads. And I'll take you on a tour of this room once it gets clean. You know how people say you wouldn't believe what's behind me? Well, I have a long arm quilting machine, and it is filled with all my Christmas things that I took off the wall that I am now going to, they have magnets, and now I'm going to change them into either spring or Valentine or something of that nature. And then I have 2 quilts, one to bind, one to quilt. And all that stuff is, I'm looking at all that stuff going, ay, but that's okay. And then I'm putting a new piece of furniture in here. I think I'll film from that corner next time so it's not quite so busy behind me. But I know if you're like me, when people film like from a place like this, I like zoom in and look at all the stuff they have. I don't have enough cross-stitch pieces to have a wall yet. I probably have, well, let's look. Oh, see, it's in the morning. Let's look at how many finishes I have. I'll just count the pinks. So, 1, 2. If you count home is where the wreath is, I did 4 of those O's. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And that little Valentine one would be 17. So I just had 17 finishes in a year. And lots of those were little. Most of those were little. So I'm just getting started in all this stuff. I started with Ada. I learned from it from the Fat Quarter Shop. I'm grateful to Kimberly for having a cross-stitch channel. And then from there, I started watching Lori Holt. And then I started watching other people. And then I'm like, I like this hobby. And then I switched from Ada to linen just from a challenge from Colorado Cross Stitcher. She had summer camp or summer camp. And she challenged us to use a linen we'd never used. Did 40 count. I'm like, I can do this. I didn't like it at first. I said, I'm never doing this again. Never say never. So, oh, I need some shout outs. Kim Goldman. Oh, she like wrote to me on my Flosstube. Like, Kim Goldman, right there. Fangirl moment, because that girl can stitch, and she has a slight bird problem. You know what I mean, Kim, as if she's going to watch this every time. But anyway, I appreciate you, Kim, commenting, and she's like my, I don't know, Saltbox Stitcher and Kim, Brenda and the Serial Stitcher. Those are like, you know, my go-tos. And I watch them over and over and over again because I want to learn from them. And Kim Goldman got me into framing things myself. And Stitching in the Light, Cynthia Brew. she frames her own things too, and I like that. Cynthia Brew has a nice mix of smalls, some, you know, little things, and then some big things. And then Kim Goldman takes little pieces of samplers and then puts them on things, and then does ginormous samplers too. And of course, Saltbox Stitcher, whom we all look at her wall and drool. But she did say something, and I'll leave you with this. She did say something. I get very frustrated that I don't do as much as I'd like to do. I do have a full-time job, but so do some of those other people. I have a full-time job, and so that's hard. And I get home and I'm tired. So I shouldn't expect myself to stitch as much as the Saltbox Stitcher. She doesn't, she's retired. Of course she can finish a sampler in a month, you know, and she's home, and she does have a life other than that. I know she has a great church life. I think she goes to First Baptist Jacksonville, if I'm not mistaken. And by the way, her husband is hilarious. You need to watch her videos. Her last video, you can hear her husband sipping his coffee in the background. They have a relationship exactly like me and my husband. And then Kim Goldman, whose sweet husband reads scripture. I don't know every time at the end, but at Christmas he read some scripture at the end. What a lovely thing. That is just so sweet that he's involved in her Flosstube like that. My husband's a preacher. He's a full-time chaplain with NHRA drag racing. He goes to drag races and holds church services there. And so I go to his races too with him. And so I have a lot of other things going on. I shouldn't expect to stitch a lot. Now, I am retiring in May, but I also have 2 of my kids live here. Hannah, her husband Joey, my granddaughter Lily, live in Sanford, Florida. And Levi and his wife Carissa just moved here from Denver. They live here for now. And then I also have another family in Denver, Colorado. Benjamin and Jess, that's a couple. And their 2 kids, Collins and Buddy, who are also my grandkids. So, you know, I have a big family. I think a big family, 3 kids. So I'll do lots of things. And cross stitch is just a fun thing that I do on the side, and quilting. So I'm not going to beat myself up for not finishing a lot of things, but I just want to work consistently. And I'd like to consistently get this Flosstube going. Check out my Instagram, which is Kathy's Corner 2021, I think. My Gmail, Kathy's Corner 2020. I interchange those all the time. But check me out on Instagram. I put a lot of things there, family-based and public. I put private some things and public some things. I also have a Facebook page. I used to melt glass and make glass jewelry, which I'll start up again when I retire. So there's a bunch on my Facebook page. I don't know if it has a name or not. I don't know how Facebook page works, but I'm really going to center myself around Instagram and YouTube for the future, and YouTube Reels and Instagram Reels. So anyway, thank you for coming. Help my channel grow by liking and subscribing. Visit other people that I've mentioned, and I'll link them below. I can't link them. I don't know how to link. I don't know how to turn it blue. My son will help me with that this week. Have a great day, a great week, and a great life. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.